Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about creating a coherent life without goals. So for the past week or two, me and a friend of mine have been discussing how to create like a getting things done system, but a system that allows for both the spontaneity and um, freedom of just listening to our bodies while at the same time creating the effectiveness and structure that allows us to actually let go into the spontaneity of our lives. And we've been going back and forth, and we know a lot of frameworks. I believe he's been doing The Second Brain um, by Tiago Forte. He's been doing bullet journaling. He's been doing like Atomic Habits. He's been doing a lot of like Art of Accomplishment. He's done the Decision course 4 times, and I've also done the Decision course twice, and know different forms of organizing our lives. And we just have a lot of information, and we actually wanted to start distilling it down into a basically a personal effectiveness system that creates coherence and a sense of alignment in our lives. And if it's a really big project, and it's a really fun project. And what's happening right now for me is the start of the project has been coming up with basically how do I want to orient towards my life? And I want to orient towards my life by following my wants. But my wants aren't going to give me the life I want because I don't know. Like, if I want something, for example, like I want to be a rock star, I don't actually know what the experience of being a rock star is. So I might actually not want that. So there's a way in which there's like a deeper want behind all my wants. And truly sitting with everything I want and dropping in to find the deeper want has been crucial at the beginning to create the life I want. So what ended up happening is I sat with all my wants and I came up with 12 things, 12 basically like arenas of life in which I want things. One is love, like romantic relationship. The other is kinship, which is like community and collaborators and friends. Another one is governance, like having structured association and being parts. I need a way to collaborate internally, and I also need a way to collaborate externally. Like, how do I collaborate in groups? Governance, the personal effectiveness system itself, like coherence, embodiment. How do I be more in my body? And how do I enjoy being in my body? Mind. How does the mind work? How does consciousness work? Movement. How do I express myself through the way that I move? Communication. Something I'm practicing right now. Style. How do I express myself through the way that I show up in the world, the way that I dress, the art in my body, the art that I create? Music. Service. So, like teaching, coaching, being a body worker eventually. And the last thing is AI, because I think AI is going to have a massive impact on everyone's lives, probably for the rest of my life. And I have 12 topics. And for each of those topics, there's like a want there, like a want for more of each. But I don't actually know how to get there. So the way that I've been organizing my life is like creating really specific questions that I get to live into. I love the Rilke quote of like, it's like a famous passage. I'm going to look this up real quick around living in the question. I think I have it pulled up. Yep. Okay. The quote goes, be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves. Like locked rooms and like books that were written in a foreign, very foreign tongue, do not now seek the answers which cannot be given uh, to you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the question now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant stay into the answer. So the productivity system is basically like, okay, coherence happens when you have a direction, a vision that you're moving towards. But having a vision is very constrictive if the vision is like something that you think you want now, because you don't have all the information now. So how can I give myself direction? How can I give myself a vision without having a clear idea of what it is? And the way that I'm going to do that is having questions. So for all 12 subjects that I have a deep interest in, I have a question. I have a question for love. How do I cultivate secure romantic relationships that are deeply enjoyable? And each of those words are really important for me. How do I cultivate interdependent communities of kinship in my life? Each of those words are really important to me. And I have a question for each of the topics. And each of the questions are very specific. And the way that I want to go about living my life is I want my life to be the answer to those questions. And they're questions. Like, no answer is going to be perfect. They're open-ended questions, so no answer is going to be perfect. So I want my life to be a continuous, almost like a gradient descent, finding better and better answers for the rest of my life. And I'm assuming, like any, I don't know, ML like field, there's going to be local minimums that I'm stuck in for the answer to certain questions. But I always want to be living in those questions, knowing that the current answer that my life is providing me is not the perfect answer. There is no perfect answer. But knowing that, like, oh, I want to live into a deeper version of this question continuously forever. I think it was a Edo Pertel quote that he said, like, it's like, I think I saw like a TikTok of this, which is like, most people don't know where their hips are because people put pants on and they think their hips are like up here, when actually your hip bone is like where your, like if you move your legs, like the hip bone is the socket, is like where your, the like, I don't know the bones, where that bone is attached to the socket is basically where your hips are. And if you have the wrong model of where your hips are, you're going to move slightly differently. And in the act of moving slightly differently based on this wrong model, you're more likely to be injured. And all models are wrong because reality is like reality just is, but some models are more useful than others. And I want for all 12 of these questions to have really good models for how I am currently answering them. And I want to continuously iterate on them forever. So that's like the first layer of this productivity system that I've been thinking of. And then the second layer is like, okay, so how do I actually reflect on this? And people have been doing productivity systems for like, since Seneca, since like olden 2000 old people, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. And it is really just reflecting at the end of the day whether the things you're doing throughout the day is contributing to your productivity or your wants or whatever the thing that your vision or goal is. So the system that I have is incredibly simple. Have these questions, reflect on these questions. Even the questions themselves are not the final iteration of the question. Continuously iterate on the questions and then journal everything I am doing throughout the day. Just like a little notebook. I have this bullet journal. Can I see it? Bullet journal. And then I just have this big journal, and at the end of the day, I reflect on everything I did throughout the day. And just I write down, like kind of create like swim lanes of my life of like what are my actions, how are they in coherence with the way that I want to show up in my life. And then if something is not in coherence, it's like, oh, what is the want behind those actions? How is it, like, what is the thing that's it actually contributing to? If it's emotional avoidance, then I go feel my feelings. If it isn't, then I'm just like, okay, let's see what happens. And then in all of that, there's just going to be more and more just solidity and coherence in my life is what I'm hoping for. It's a very simple system. Journal and then a weekly review of obviously for everything that I'm doing. And for each of the questions, I also want to have projects. And for projects, the system that I'm using is clarity hacking. um, which is a art of accomplishment thing where you basically create all the assumptions. Like the project has a problem statement that I'm trying to answer, very similar to the problems that I'm living in, and then what are the solution criteria that would actually solve the problem now? What are all the assumptions in the problem, and then I reiterate on the problem statement a couple times. And after doing that for a couple times, you like have a really solid solution criteria. Like you know what a solution is that would work for you. And then you create like what's the thing you know least about in this topic, and then you write like what's the next most obvious step like 20 times so that you have clarity for what you're going to do for the next like week or month or two. And it's an experiment, obviously. So I'm planning on doing that for every question, every project that I'm going to now spin up. Um, but in the act of just having the questions, like defining the 12 questions has been life changing because now, whenever I am doing something, I can ask myself, does this in any way like help me answer or like live into the answers of any of these questions? If it's not, then I'm just like, okay, cool, let me do something else. Let me like change what I'm doing. And in the act of changing what I'm doing, I have more coherence. And then there's like the Viktor Frankl thing of like when there is a strong enough why, um, you can like meet anyhow. I don't quite remember the quote, but it's basically like having like it's logotherapy, like having strong, meaningful reasons why you're doing things will create a sense of like motivation and like help you move through really difficult things. And all of the things that I wrote about are really important to me and my heart. So in the act of like cohering my life around it, it's going to make it very easy to remove bad habits because now I know why I don't want these bad habits, and it's going to help me make room for good habits that's actually going to help me like put into coherence like the way that I want to show up in my life. There's like another quote that I really like, which is like awareness is um, directionless. Like if you're trying to move away from something, you can move in all directions. Like there's like infinite directions you can move in because you don't have a place you're going to. You're just going away. So if you have a bad habit and you want to stop it, there's infinite ways to replace that empty space. And usually when there's infinite things, it's too unconstrained. It's too unstructured for change to actually occur. While if you have a goal, even if it's a really rigid goal, you have a direction you're moving to, so then change actually happens. But goals are rigid, and I don't like that. Like I have this aversion to goals because there's like a way in which I'm like telling myself I know better than the world or reality. Um, so I'm gonna have questions as my vision, as my direction, and then move away towards like have an aim that I'm moving towards, even if it's not a very clear vision. That's what's currently alive for me. I'm like super excited and I feel so incredibly grounded just coming up with the questions, and I'm really curious about how this will continue to iterate throughout my life. Big loves. Thank you for watching. Have a great one.